Where's Miss Cass? I'm glad you asked. Hey everybody, it's your girl Miss Cass, principal broker of the Aspire Group powered by Exit Strategy Realty, your neighborhood realtor, investor, and educator, heavy on the education, connecting you to the community through real estate. I just really wanted to share my journey into how I purchased my multifamily property here on the south side of Chicago. So back in 2021, I was dating my now husband, at the time my boyfriend, and we had been dating for quite some time. We actually met during COVID. I was getting frustrated with my car. Was stuff going on with my car every day. Every time I turned around, it's like something going on. Extremely frustrated. And so one of the things that I went home and I said to him, I was like, man, I'm tired of this car. I want to get me a new car. I want to get me a new car. He allowed me the entire time during our relationship that we lived together to save my money. That allowed me to really save a lot of money during COVID. He just said, I've seen you work so hard during this pandemic. You have not taken days off. You've been deemed an essential worker. He said, why don't you look into purchasing property? He planted that seed and he said, I think you should reach out to your lender friend. He was talking about Kelvin Waits of Loan Depot because we're doing tons of business together. He's been my big brother. You know, he was speaking ownership into me even when I didn't feel like I was ready. And that's how my initial seed was planted during the pandemic. After we had that conversation, it really lit a fire under me, and I realized that he was right. Like, I was doing all this work, helping all of these families, and we were renting at the time. But many people don't know this, but I slept on my mother's couch for almost 2 years just before I met him. And I was okay with that because I knew that there was something bigger in store. After having a conversation with my good friend and brother Kelvin Waits of Loan Depot, I sent him all of the information that he needed, and luckily everything went well. I did have to go back and amend some of my taxes, and even though I understood that, again, I wasn't on the journey to purchase, so I was in the mindset of, let me make sure that I do my write-offs. One of the things that he helped me understand was that you got to go back and fix that because on paper it's like you didn't make money. After I amended my taxes, I was able to be more viable. I was able to look more like I was prepared to purchase. My numbers made sense, and so I started looking. It took me almost a year to really find what I wanted. I looked all over the city. I knew specifically that I wanted to stay in Chicago. I wanted a piece of Chicago before it became out of reach for me and my family, and that was my reason for wanting to be here in Chicago. So, found my building. I really fell in love with this building because this building was zoned a 5-unit, but they had deconverted it, and so each floor, first floor and second floor, had 2 apartments. This was a HUD property. When I walked through here, all I saw was potential. I believe we're at 2,000 plus square feet on each floor. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths on each floor. I was okay with the rehab loan. The one thing that I will say about the rehab loan, however, the rehab loan does not provide, there's no down payment assistance. I'll be transparent. I think I spent over $30,000 with down payment and closing costs for my project. So here we are, right? I am in the thick of it, 203K. You know, going through that process was, I'll be honest, it was challenging because you really have to trust your contractor, and at times we were not seeing eye to eye. We know what I like, and I'm very meticulous when it comes to certain things, and so sometimes there would have to be things that would have to be redone. And so my original timeline, I purchased in March 2022, my original timeline of 6 months turned into a timeline of actually almost a year. Like, you really have to make sure that you have time for this type of project because anything can go wrong, and it did. So that's one thing that I would definitely share. So as you can see, this is my as you can see, it's a lot of square footage. I know it looks super great. I wanted to keep it simple because I'm not staying here forever. I wanted my tenants when they move in to be able to, you know, throw their own little pizzazz to this unit. So a little bit over 2,000 square feet. That's from the appraisal report, by the way. This is not a guesstimate. And although it was a challenge, I would not change this process because I am able to now live in my place and reap the benefits of having a tenant on the first floor. We'll talk about that in another video, but that it helped us to build our financial stability, because had he not given me the opportunity to save living expenses for up to a year, I don't know if I would have been able to do this in the way that it's been done. So it's important to have people on your team and in your village that are kicking your butt when you're sitting around not wanting to go to the next level. He saw this before it even happened. It's so important to be in spaces and around people who really see things in you that maybe you're too afraid to see. You have to get out of your own way. This is normally where you can find me after work. Both of us, actually. Our day at work, working with clients. We usually come and hang out here. This has really become our safe haven, and it's not perfect, but it's ours, and to us, that's most important. We have tons of backyard, and the bonus was we have, I want to say, that garage is huge. So I want to say it's at least a 2.5 car garage, brand new built, which we don't use, but we're turning into our workout center. This is one of the reasons why ownership is so important. You make it work for you, regardless to what anybody else says. You really have to make sure that it makes sense for you and your journey. And it's not a long-term strategy of mine to stay here, but I'm comfortable here. We have plenty of space when my family's in town. They can come and hang out, sleepovers. We've had tons of parties here with friends and family. Everybody knows the house, and nobody walks in this building and does not fall in love with this layout and this property. The community that I chose was not my first selection, but I saw the neighborhood appreciating, but it was appreciating at a steady rate where I wasn't fearful that, oh my God, this is going too fast. Close to the major expressways, close to major transportation. I wanted to be on a transit-oriented block. 7 minutes drive to the lakefront, a quick train ride downtown. And for me, that's what it was all about. A lot of our communities are not there yet, but when they get there, we will not be there. For me and mine, I wanted to own a piece of Chicago before it started looking unrecognizable and it became unreachable. And that was my reason for investing in Chicago. And this is not my first investment. My first investment was back in 2006. I've owned again in 2011. I sold that one in 2017. So I am not afraid of real estate. And I really don't want you to be afraid of real estate and to share my story. I've been here since, oh my God, since 2023. Remember, I bought in March of 2022. It was not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But I just wanted to share. Hopefully my story inspires someone. I highly encourage people to really learn about the industry, work with someone who has been doing this for quite some time, who has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it matters when you're making the biggest decision in your life. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can put a comment down below. I'll be sure to respond as quickly as I can. Oh, the other thing that I would say is, when I talked about financial stability, when I purchased this, I was talking to my lender the other day, Kelvin Waits of Loan Depot, and we were talking about my next purchase. And I was just like, yeah, let me pop in. You know, I've been more diligent with my credit. Obviously, payments are on time. I said, let me check my credit score. Since I've purchased, I believe when I purchased, my credit was a little bit above, maybe 640. Right now, I'm probably pushing 740. 730 as far as my credit. So I can definitely say that it has helped to build my credit immensely, and it's helped me with better financial decisions. But I had to build myself up to that, and that's about being a good steward of your finance. You think you might be interested in going into real estate as an investor, as a buyer. I mean, it's a conversation. That always start with that conversation. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to have that initial conversation, and then from there we'll see what works for you and your family. If you're interested in learning more about my journey, you can text Ms. Cass to 85377. That's MSCASS to 85377. And hopefully this has inspired someone. Hope to talk to you soon. It's your girl, Ms. Cass.